Hi, I'm Brian Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare.
That's completely out of touch, and it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the living beings.
Luigi Mangione became world famous for the assassination of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. In this video, I'm going to use my skills as a body language analyst to provide my insight as to what's really going on here. So, let's take a look. After the assassination on December 4th, law enforcement went on a desperate hunt to find the gunman, allegedly tracking him down to a McDonald's in Pennsylvania 300 miles away. He was then arrested by the Blair County Sheriff's Office. We see Luigi pacifying here, clasping one hand over the other and fidgeting with his fingers. This is a form of self-touch and acts as a way to reduce his physiological arousal. He's incredibly stressed here. He's also doing rapid head movement, constantly looking around at each individual officer. His defense mechanism has been triggered and his brain is trying to take in as much information as possible, which is why we see this rapid movement. Law enforcement would then give him permission to extradite him to New York to face a number of serious charges, which could result in the death penalty. This is when Luigi gives out his now famous outburst.
That's completely out of touch, and it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the living beings.
When he initially gets out the vehicle, we see him looking toward the left at the press. He's already decided to make a statement and deliberately looks at them to try and determine when to start speaking. Unlike before, he's no longer concerned with the officers, making no attempt to look at them. He starts off speaking calmly until one of the officers grabs him, escalating the situation. They clearly have orders to suppress anything he might say. It's entirely political, and you'll see just how deep this political corruption lies. He was then extradited to New York via helicopter and given what's called a perp walk. This is when the perpetrator is deliberately walked in dramatic fashion in front of the media to send a message.
There he is. Oh, good. Oh, we're making this a perp walk. Nobody can yell out, Luigi, why'd you do it?
Again, Luigi shows no real concern with the officers now. He's gotten used to them being around, so their presence doesn't trigger the same response as before. He is still, however, stressed, and we see multiple instances of muscle tension as well as distancing. We see him tense the muscles around his mouth here, which occurs due to elevated stress levels triggering a defense mechanism. This mechanism then causes our muscles to tense up to become stronger and more resistant to damage, to assist with survival. He simultaneously distances when he gives off this expression, and it's likely because he's trying to put on a brave face for the audience. He distances as a way of diverting his attention away from the crowds of people whilst he experiences this muscle tension. It also occurs incredibly quickly, so he's trying to hide it and return to his controlled, calm outward demeanor as fast as possible. He repeats this exact pattern of behavior a moment later. We see him express rapid head movement here, which is a survival mechanism. A study conducted in 2008 titled Detecting Lies and Deceit found that rapid head movements are a strong indicator of stress, particularly when individuals were under pressure to maintain a lie or false demeanor, which he's doing here. Luigi is desperately trying to appear calm and in control, but all of his nonverbals are screaming anxiety and stress. I don't anticipate that he ever intended on getting caught, and he's now trying to appear confident and in control. Again, we see multiple signs of muscle tension, particularly around the mouth, as well as more rapid head movements. He's extremely nervous and stressed, but is trying to hide it. This whole situation was rigged and political in motive, and you only have to do a little bit of digging as to see why. Although the Batman has been delayed until 2027, we now have our very own Batman plotline of corruption and lies unfolding in 2025. The New York City Mayor Eric Adams was charged with 5 counts of bribery, conspiracy, fraud, and 2 counts of soliciting illegal foreign campaign donations in late September, literally a week before the shooting. He could face 45 years in prison if found guilty. He pled not guilty and will be tried in April 2025. The mayor ordered this perp walk as a power move to distract the press from his very own trial. Luigi is innocent until proven guilty in the eyes of the law. He then appeared for his arraignment, where he will enter his plea.
Here we go.
There is so much to unpack here. Firstly, he's interlocking his fingers, which is a self-soothing technique. The self-touch assists in reducing his physiological arousal and calms him down, showing that he's stressed. He also smiles briefly, but we see signs of extreme muscle tension around his mouth, causing the smile to appear more like him snarling his teeth. A real smile involves muscles around the whole face and doesn't end abruptly like it does here. It's fake and forced. His responses to the press are extremely interesting and reveal quite a lot about his state of mind. Each time he diverts his attention towards the press and he notices that they're taking pictures of him, he instantly distances attention away as a method of reducing his arousal. Thus, we can conclude that the attention from the media generates him stress. He doesn't want the attention he's getting. We can also infer from this that he never planned on getting caught and going down as a martyr. He's either completely innocent or fully intended to escape law enforcement.
With the crime of murder in the first degree and other related charges. How do you plead to this indictment, sir? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Yes, Your Honor. We'd like to make a record, if that's okay with Your Honor. First, we'd request immediate, expedited discovery in this case. The people have had this case for about almost 3 weeks, and that's more than enough time to gather as much information as they can give to us, especially now that we have 2 proceedings that we have to answer to, one of them being death eligible. So we are requesting that we get immediate discovery of the New York City Police Department and FBI and federal and state documents. And the second thing I want to make a record of, Your Honor, is I'm very concerned about my client's right to a fair trial in this case. He's being prejudiced by some statements that are being made by government officials.
Luigi's body language is incredibly natural and free from stress here. Unlike before, he's genuinely calm and relaxed and shows no signs of muscle tension or elevated heart rate. From this, we can determine that the stress was generated by law enforcement and the media. The lawyer for the defense is showing considerable signs of stress. We hear multiple instances of vocal tremors when she starts speaking, and we also see her pacified by fidgeting with her jumper and jacket. She then performs self-touch with her hands in an attempt to reduce her physiological arousal. She is more anxious than he is.
Like every other defendant, he is entitled to a presumption of innocence, but unfortunately, the way this has been handled so far, his rights are being violated. And as you know, Your Honor, there's a wealth of case law guaranteeing his right to a fair trial, but none of the safeguards have been put in place yet here. In fact, it's just the opposite of what's been happening. He's a young man, and he is being treated like a human ping pong ball between 2 warring jurisdictions jurisdictions here.
We can see quite obviously the angle that the defense will be taking here. They're going to portray him as a wronged young man who suffered a horrible injury and was declined treatment to try and get the jury to feel sympathy for him. That reassuring hand touch from Karen was completely unnatural. When doing the gesture, she shows signs of cognitive overload, which is when someone becomes overwhelmed by the amount of brain power required and their chain of thought stops abruptly. She stops mid-speech, turns her head towards him, and then gives off this affirming gesture, and then begins to speak again. This shows that the hand touch was a conscious, pre-planned behavior in an attempt to make the jury feel sympathy for him. Luigi in return gives off a faint smile and makes no attempt at making eye contact to build rapport with her. They both know that it's fake.
These federal and state prosecutors are coordinating with one another, but at the expense of him. They have conflicting theories in their indictments, and they are literally treating him like he is like some sort of political fodder, like some sort of spectacle. He was on display for everyone to see in the biggest staged perp walk I've ever seen in my career. It was absolutely unnecessary. He's been cooperative with law enforcement. He had been in custody for over a week. He waived extradition. He was cooperative at all accounts. There was no reason for the NYPD and everybody to have these big assault rifles that, frankly, I had no idea it was in their arsenal. And to have all of these, the press there, the media there, it was like perfectly choreographed. And what was the New York City mayor doing at this press conference, Your Honor? That just made it utterly political. And as Your Honor knows, under Lauro v. Charles, the Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit has held it to be clearly established that these staged perp walks to the media, unrelated to a legitimate law enforcement objective, is unconstitutional. And I submit there was zero law enforcement objective to do that sort of perp walk. There's absolutely no need for that whatsoever. And frankly, Your Honor, the mayor should know more than anyone of the presumption of innocence that he too is afforded when dealing with his own issues.
She makes an amazing point here. New York Mayor Eric Adams is also being charged with multiple serious offenses, and yet was not paraded around and made a spectacle of, but instead forced Luigi to undergo that treatment. Ironically, that's corruption, which is the very thing he's on trial for. He's using his power as an elected official to distract attention away from his own trial.
And frankly, I submit that he was just trying to detract from those issues by making a spectacle of Mr. Mangione, and there are consequences to this. He has a right to a fair trial, and I just want to put on the record statements that the mayor made publicly about my client. Nothing saying alleged, for example, and he said, I wanted to send a strong message with the police commissioner that we're leading from the front. I'm not going to just allow him to come into our city. I wanted to look him in the eye and state, you carried out this terrorist act in my city, the city of New York that I love. And he wanted to show symbolism. Your Honor, he's not a symbol. He's somebody who is afforded the right to a fair trial. He's innocent until proven guilty. And the mayor was talking to jurors, future potential jurors that elected him. Those are the people that elected him, that he is talking to and calling this man a terrorist. So, Your Honor, I just want to make a record of this and put everyone on notice that this has to stop. And my client is entitled to a fair trial and the presumption of innocence. And we're going to fight these charges, whether it's in the state or federal, to the fullest extent. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Well, as you know, I have very little control of what happens outside of this court.
She attempts again to show concern for her client by providing an affirming shoulder touch, but when she sits down, she makes absolutely no eye contact with Luigi at all, despite him on multiple occasions looking at her. This is very revealing and shows quite blatantly that she has no real concern for him whatsoever. The concern she showed before was absolutely fake. This bad acting will no doubt work against them during the trial. The jury will see right through it.
Ready to go. You can have a seat.
Can you take this? Can you take one picture too? Can you take this? Okay. No worries. It's okay. Last.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
He's showing signs of stress, but nowhere near the extent that he felt during the perp walk and walk into the courtroom. This shows that the stress he feels is directly related to the media and the attention he's getting. What did you think of this video? Let me know in the comment section below, and thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.